So recently I made a video about the Byrna CL and its value proposition. It was titled something like, "Is it worth it?" or something like that. And I made an entire 25-minute long video, and I realized I did not actually mention the price once in that video, but people in the comments seemed to already know that this is a pricey device. So I'm going to compare this Byrna CL compact launcher to some other options in less lethal. Now, first what I want to do is compare what I'm going to call the apparent price. I'm just going to judge by the build quality and the power output and the things that I know about these launchers, and I'm going to determine which one I think would be more expensive and less expensive. So on the low end, I'm going to start with this Umarex HDP50 Gen 2. So this is rated at 13 joules and it's 50 caliber. You can fire both kinetic rounds and pepper rounds out of it, but at just 50 caliber, I don't know how effective those rounds would be, and I'm not going to bother testing them because I don't feel like getting shot with pepper rounds. But if you want to volunteer, let me know, and I'll shoot you up with some pepper rounds. No, but this one, it has good features. It has a trigger safety, so you can't pull the trigger without your finger actually activating that blade in the middle. It has a trigger safety. It has the newer puncture cap that allows you to degas. That's, for one thing, it's much easier to take off than the old one. Plus, once you get it on there and you puncture your CO2, you can turn it a quarter turn to degas, as well as it has the degasser button / indicator up here. Now, the reason I would put this at the low end, not just judging by its build quality and its output and its capabilities, even though it does have some good features and it has a reassuring weight to it, to me this exposed spring right here looks super cheap. And it doesn't have a removable magazine, unlike all the other competition. To load it, you pull back on this little follower here, and you turn the gun upside down, and you load your 50 caliber rounds, 6 of them, into that little hole right there. Now, that really limits your ability to mount something on this little section of Picatinny rail here, because you can't mount a light right here, obviously, because you wouldn't be able to load it. You can't really, you know, that's not very useful right there because of the way it's loaded. Also, this is the only launcher out of these 4 that is trying to look like something that it's not. Every other launcher here seems to be built for a purpose. It's shaped the way it is because it needs to be. So this one is trying to look like a real gun, especially the older Gen 1 model like this. It's really trying, it has a fake extractor and basically a fake slide, fake dovetail rear sights, and they both have a fake hammer and a cutout for the fake hammer and a beaver tail that's not required because the slide, quote unquote slide, does not move. So that to me just seems a little cheap, that it's trying to look like something that it's not. But it does have some good quality. So I'm going to put this one at the low end, just knowing what I know about it, and its capabilities and things, and its appearance. I'm going to place this one at the low end. Now, these two are kind of a toss-up. So this one is the Byrna CL compact launcher. It has a removable magazine, holds 5. It has no safety switch of any kind. It seems it has no safety at all. There's no trigger safety, there's no thumb safety, nothing. So this seems mechanically quite simple to me. But I will give it props for being built, for its appearance being built to purpose. It's the size it is because that's the size and shape that it needs to be. Now, the weight of it isn't quite as reassuring as the HDP. It weighs less than the HDP does. And it is like the HDP50. It's all plastic on the exterior, minus the screws that hold it together and the clips that hold it together. So these black lines right here, those aren't just decorative. Those are actually clips that hold the two plastic halves together. So it's just injection molded plastic, a lot like the HDP50 is. It has pretty good sights. It does have the ability to mount an optic, which some of the others don't have. So you could, Byrna makes their own branded red dot that goes perfectly with this, or I think you can mount other brands red dots and things on there. So the reason I say it's a toss-up is because this one, the Salt Supply S2, this one has a reassuring weight to it. It has removable magazines, a 5-round, and you can load. I have been able to now load 5+1 in there. For some reason, the first time I tried it, the round fell out, but now it's reliably loading 5+1. It has a actual safety, so when you see red on the safety switch, that means danger. It's got an actual safety. It has a way to pre-puncture the CO2, so your first round is going to be your most powerful, whereas this one does not have that capability unless you get really good at this trick where you put your finger behind the trigger and then pull back 75% of the way or something like that. That's not realistic in the real world. So to me, what I know about this is that your first round is going to come out at about half speed in the real world. And then your second round is going to be your fastest round. Now that's a pro and a con to me, because one, it allows you to puncture your CO2 one-handed, which none of these other launchers can do. It's a two-handed operation for each one of these to puncture your CO2, whereas this one, you can get in action with just one hand. But because that first round is going to come out at half speed or lower, it's basically a 4-shot device as far as I know. And I know you can load one extra in there, just like the Salt Supply, but so you could load 5+1, similar to the Salt Supply, but people who own Byrnas are telling me you should not do that. It's not recommended. It can cause problems. I don't know what those problems are, but I've been told not to do that. So I'm not going to do that. So to me, it's a 4-shot. It's a very compact 4-shot simplified device. It's mechanically simpler than the other Byrnas, and it's smaller. There are fewer materials. So to me, I would put this I think it should be towards the bottom of the Byrna line price-wise, but I'm going to put it second. And I'm going to place this one, its apparent value. I'm going to place this one as a close third. These two are kind of a toss-up. They seem like they both have good features. They both have good reliability. At least for me, I've heard a lot of bad stories about people who have bought the CL and have been dissatisfied, or they're getting low power with it. I'm not one of those people. I seem to have gotten a good one. I'm getting good power out of it. And I'll show you some test results on that power here in a little bit. So a close third to me would be the Salt Supply S2. It has pretty good sights. It has a long Picatinny rail. You can mount whatever you want up there, and you can mount, unlike the HDP, you can mount it close enough to your trigger guard that you can activate it and still be able to reload. And so these have, this has a puncture cap, so it is a two-handed operation, generally speaking. Now you could, if you're in an emergency, you could take this and slam it on the desk, or slam it on a piece of wood, or slam it on somebody's car, or who knows what. But you could do it one-handed with these puncture cap style launchers. But if you're just standing out in the open, it's a two-handed operation. And it has also has the feature where you can turn it counterclockwise and degas. So this is my lineup so far, least valuable, and we're going up the chain, and then we're going to take a look at the Pistelle X-68, which I've covered before on my channel, and there's good reason for it, because it's a popular device, it's a very powerful device, and it has good build quality. So this upper part from this line up is all aluminum. That is all aluminum. One big chunk of aluminum. And none of the other launchers have a aluminum or any kind of metal construction to the exterior, aside from maybe the trigger, the piercing cap, and some screws. So that already looks more premium to me. It feels more premium. You've got two Picatinny rails. You could mount whatever you want. An optic up here. There's a Picatinny rail here where I've mounted a light, and it has a removable 6-round magazine. And like some of the other launchers, you're able to load up the magazine. And this one, what you actually do is you drop a round in there first before you drop your loaded magazine in there, and then you'll have 6 plus 1. So it's 7 rounds, somewhere between, they advertise it as somewhere between 35 to 50 joules with the barrel that it comes with. One feature that the others don't have is a very, very easily removable barrel. So you can remove this barrel, and you can buy a longer one or a steel one that can handle metallic rounds better. I have the 11.5 inch one. It puts out really good power with that. That's one of the best ways to get extra power out of your launcher, is to extend the barrel. So just knowing that this one is by far the most powerful in the lineup here, and the build quality and the features that it has a trigger safety as well. I'm going to say, and it comes with one magazine. The Byrna came with two. That's the only one that came with two magazines. I'm going to say this one's definitely its apparent price, when you know what its capabilities are, what you know its what it can do, and how rugged and well built it is. It also looks to be user serviceable, so when your detents wear out, you can replace them. There are these two little ports here that give you access to the detents. None of the other launchers have that. Now, you can also open up the back here and get to some of the O-rings and things in there. So it looks serviceable to me. And if you want to remove the top half from the bottom half, it's just two screws. There's a screw here, and then underneath this light there's another screw, and that's all that attaches the top to the bottom, and then everything just pulls right out, and you can do some maintenance. If you've got a leak, figure out what's wrong. It's well made, and it's durable, and you can do maintenance on it. By the way, this is the Gen 2 version. This is not the Mercury Rise Intrabuster. This is the Defense Innovation Pistelle X-68 Gen 2. So that's how I would value these, just knowing what I know about them. Now the actual price, I still haven't mentioned the actual price yet. So the price that I paid for this one was $150. And the reason I paid that much is because I wasn't sure if every single Gen 2 HDP50 was the 13 joules version. I have my Gen 1 is only 7.5 joules, so I was really wary about accidentally buying another 7.5 joule launcher. So I went to Defense Innovation, I think, and bought it from them to make sure that I was getting the 13 joule version. I've tried to look up if all the Gen 2s are 13 joules now, and I can't find the information. That's why I spent a little extra and bought this one. Let me know if you know, and if anyone knows in the comments, are all the Gen 2s 13 joules now? Have they stopped producing 7.5 joule versions? I don't know. I've gone to Umarex's website, I've looked on Amazon, I can't find any hard data on that. So, $150. Next up, we're going to talk actual value, actual prices now, is the Salt Supply S2 without the light. This was $230. So this is quite a good value. It runs around 20 joules, 19 joules, something like that, and it's 68 caliber. So you could use this as an irritant launcher, and I think you'd have quite good luck with those large 68 caliber irritant rounds. Good features, good reliability, good value, $230. Now, next in line is the X-68 Pistelle. Now here I think this is expensive, but I think you're getting what you pay for. It's a really powerful out of the box. This might be the most powerful launcher you can get out of the box without any modifications or anything. And then you put that easily replaceable longer barrel on there. There's several barrels to choose from. And you get extra, it's a great way to add extra power. This cost $450. So it's a lot more than the Salt Supply S2, but I think you're getting what you pay for. And of course, that's without the light. Next up, may surprise you, the most expensive, the lightest, and to me the least feature packed is the Byrna CL. This costs $550. And I don't quite understand why. I think this should be towards the bottom end of the spectrum of Byrnas, since it is simpler and smaller, and I mean, I think they're expecting you to pay because it's the smallest launcher out there, and people would be willing to pay for reduced size. So that's how it is. $150. You can get these for cheaper. You might be able to get these if they're the 13 jewel version on Amazon, the Gen 2s, for under $100. If they're the 13 jewels for under $100, that's a great value, actually. Not necessarily something that I'd use for self-defense, but for teaching someone how to shoot or just having fun with. I think, and these are modifiable. There are a lot of tutorials online where you can remove the valve block and do some things internally and get extra power out of them. Now, if you want to trust your life to a cheap launcher that's been modified, that's up to you, but that's not what I'm going to do. I have other options, so somewhere between $100 to $150, $230. Now they do sell this Salt Supply S2 as a kit for somewhere around $290 or $300 or something like that, and it'll come with a case and a few rounds and some things, but I went for the cheap version that just comes in a cardboard box with nothing but a manual and one magazine and a tool to pop the extra round out of there if you need to. And $450, it's a lot of money, but I think it's worth it. Really, really great launcher. Now, $550. Now let's talk about some of the tests that I just did. So I did a power test, and some people have been getting low numbers on theirs. Mine, I did two different tests. One where I pre-punctured, which is quite tricky to do. You have to, there's no CO2 in this right now, and no ammo. But what you have to do is pull the trigger back most of the way, and then when you hear a little click, then you let go. And then your CO2 is punctured, and your first round will be your fastest round. So when I did the pre-puncture test, my first round came out with the Byrna kinetic projectiles, which mine weigh 2.09 grams. When I measured mine, a handful of them, I got, for my first shot with pre-puncture, 444 feet per second, which comes out to 19.1 joules. Now that's with the Byrna branded CO2 cartridges. My other tests that I did, I used these seltzer charger 8-gram CO2s, and my numbers were just slightly lower with these, and it's within margin of error. I mean, temperature makes a difference. All kinds of things make a difference. So I'm not going to say these have less and these have more, but I wanted to test with the Byrnas just because I think people would be interested to know. So my first round was 444 feet per second. My second round came out at 430, which is about 18 joules. My third round came out at 412 feet per second, which is about 16.5 joules. My fourth shot came out at at 392 feet per second, which is around 14.9 joules. And my fifth round came out at 380 feet per second, which is 14 joules. So my 5-shot average was 411.6 feet per second on those 5 shots, and the average joules was 16.4. Now that's pretty good for this little guy on an 8-gram CO2. All these others use the standard 12-gram unthreaded CO2s that you can get at any sporting goods store. The 8 grams are a little harder to find, but they're definitely out there. So I did one test with a pre-puncture, and then I left the house. I put this inside and I left the house, went to the store, let this guy warm up because temperature makes a big difference on these less lethal launchers that are powered by CO2. So I was trying to give it the best possible chance to get high numbers. I would, for each one of my shots, I would take a shot, I would put the launcher down, and then I would write down the number and then pick it back up. So there were 2 or 3 seconds at least between each round. I didn't fire it quickly. I fired them slow, let the pressure build up between each round. I was really trying to give this guy the best possible chance to succeed. So with my no pre-puncture test, that first round came out at only 220 feet per second. That equals, with those projectiles, equals 4.7 joules. That's pretty bad. So like I said, that pull to pierce feature, it's kind of a double, it's some would say it's a feature, not a bug. I say it's a bug, not a feature, because it reduces your effectiveness so greatly that first round, and you might only get a chance to get 1 round off in an emergency. That first round is going to do nothing. It's going to feel like less than a bee sting. Okay, so the second round was the most powerful at 436 feet per second. That's 18.5 joules. Now that's something. 18.5 joules, that's reasonable. That's surely enough to break the irritant rounds and things like that. I don't know if that first shot at 4.7 joules would even have enough power to break those irritant rounds. So the third shot was 424 feet per second at 17.5 joules. Fourth shot was 406 feet per second, coming out at 16 joules, and the fifth shot was 390 feet per second at 14.8 joules. So the average feet per second that I got without pre-puncturing was 375.2. So it really brings down your 5-shot average. The average joules was 13.7. So with a pre-puncture, my average joules was 16.4 out of 5 shots. Without a pre-puncture, 13.7 joules. So it really brings down your average, and it really brings down that first shot. So yeah, what are we paying for? What is so special about this thing other than it's small? I'm sorry, this is not a Byrna advertisement. They're probably not going to use my video in a Byrna YouTube video like they do with some of the other YouTubers. Because value-wise, this is not it. This just isn't it for me. Now, I do think that it does have some value in the size. It allows you to carry a irritant round launcher, even though that first round isn't... My first round, when I load this up, is probably going to be a kinetic, because why waste a perfectly good, very expensive max projectile when it's not even going to burst open? So 1 round of kinetic and then 4 rounds of max projectiles is how I would carry this. And there's some value in that, but not as much value to me as some of these other launchers. Now, I said I got a good one, and that's as far as power goes, I think I did get a good one. I've seen several videos where people are getting only 350 feet per second or something like that. I'm getting good numbers out of this as far as power goes. Now, there is one quirk. See, I've heard of other people, especially the black models, having fit and finish issues, or just having to send them back for some reason because they have issues. Mine has one quirk that I'm going to mention. So sometimes when I hit the magazine release, it functions perfectly. Now I'm going to try this several times to see if I can replicate it. Now I've inserted and released that magazine hundreds of times to try and figure out how to replicate this issue, and I cannot figure out why it does it sometimes and other times it does not. But I have a inconsistent, there it goes. I have an inconsistent magazine release. So I'm pressing the button now. I'm taking care to not put my fingers near here or around the magazine well or anything like that. I've got this weird grip so I'm not blocking anything. And as you can see, it's not releasing. And this happens with all 3 magazines that I have. This is a finger groove magazine. It happens with both stock magazines, and I've noticed this straight out of the box. The first thing I did when I got it out of the box was insert one magazine and release it. Okay, it was fine. And I took the other magazine, put it in there, tried to release it, and I had this issue. Now there's a couple of ways to resolve the issue. One is to just hold down the button and pull, and it'll come right out every time. The other way to resolve the issue is to pull the trigger and watch. Now it comes out 100% of the time. So that's not something that really shows up when you're firing it, because you'll be pulling the trigger and the magazine release will function every time you use it. But if you have to unload your launcher, it's doing it again. Sometimes it's like 1 out of every 10 times, sometimes it's 1 out of every 5 times, and I don't know why it does it, but it does it. But so I can hold, the other ways I can hold down the button and pull out, and there's just a little bit of force needed to another way is to just shake it violently while you hold down the button and it'll come out. Sometimes it's still doing it. Sometimes if I hold it from the top and hit the button, it'll come out. Let's see if it does it now. No, So I don't know why it does it, but to me it's just a quirk. It's not something that I would use the warranty for, especially knowing that I'm getting good power out of this one and a lot of people aren't. So I think I'll hang on to that warranty. I've got a year. It has a year-long warranty. See if anything else goes wrong with it, because this is not an issue that I would send it back for warranty. Maybe I could go up in there and just sand off a little bit of material to the magazine catch that's in there, but I'm probably not going to do that. That would probably void the warranty or something. So I'm going to make use of this 1-year warranty, as you know, if anything major goes wrong, but I consider this very minor, just a quirk. So that pretty much covers it. It's expensive. It's too expensive. Yeah, so that pretty much covers my second look at the Byrna CL. Good power numbers, but inconsistent magazine release. It's doing it frequently now, but I don't really consider that a major issue, especially since it won't show up when you're firing. So there we go. That's the second look at the Byrna CL compared to some competition. Thanks for watching.